Okay, welcome to everybody. Hope you're all doing well. My name is Yusuf. Welcome to all. Welcome to newcomers. If you're new to the stream, hi there. Hope you're all doing amazingly well on this fantastic day. It's not as sunny as it was last week, but it is still pretty encouraging. Summer is coming, and it's an amazing time to be living in the UK, right? Oh, if you don't suffer from hay fever, which I do in actual fact. So that is one thing that sort of is a bit gloomy when it comes to summer. But hey ho, hope everyone is doing fantastically well. We'll just wait for a couple of people just to enter. Got some minutes just before we begin. Say hello in the chat. Let me know how you've been. Let me know what you're currently up to nowadays. How was half term? Did you do anything interesting? I unfortunately did not have half term. I am doing university exams, so yeah, lucky, lucky, lucky. Hi Inga, hope you're well. Thank you so much for joining, Inga, the amazing moderator for our stream today. So give her a thumbs up and a hello as well. So yeah, we'll get going in about, let's say, 2 minutes. We'll say 2 minutes, which I have some starter activities. And then we will proceed with the learning today, which is on sectors. And sectors, well, without giving too much away, are slices of circles. So we're going to do some work around those, calculating the area and the perimeter, and so on and so forth. If we're lucky, we can get through everything. Hi, okay, do you have any advice on my maths GCSE exam tomorrow? I do have some advice for you if your exam is tomorrow. What can I do? I can send you a list of topics that are most likely to come up based on the research. You probably have seen some of them already. I would say standard form is one, types of graphs is one, quadratic graphs, so on and so forth. There is a whole list of topics. I mean, if you just Google it, predicted topics to come up in paper 2, I would say use those as your go-to for the last day before paper 2 tomorrow, right? Because the thing is with these exam boards is they can only test you on certain topics, and if they tested you on paper 1, they're not going to test you on it again. So we can sort of use that to predict. Obviously, don't go off of it solely, but it is nice. Sometimes they are pretty accurate. Okay. So yeah, I mean, we are going to be doing sectors today, which is actually one of the topics that is predicted to come up on the paper. So yeah, if you want to stick around, we're going to do some work on those. And yeah, best of luck though. If you're in year 11, guys, I can only imagine how tough it is for you at the moment. I know when I was doing my GCSEs, it was pretty intense. So I completely sympathize with you. It's one of the most intense times of your life. I mean, looking back now, even though I've had university exams and so on and so forth, that GCSE chunk of exams is definitely something that sets you up for life, and that what it teaches you and how you feel after you finish those and accomplish those. So yeah, I completely respect and sympathize with you guys. I respect you for that. Okay. Hello to everyone else as well. Feel free to message in the chat. I don't know if you can see my display picture, but I did leave a message in the chat a couple of minutes ago. 10 minutes ago, yeah. So if anyone can guess what that is, I'll be very impressed. And if you can guess how much I paid for it, I'll be even more impressed. Okay. We won't talk about how much it's worth now, because I did buy it about 2 years ago. But yeah, the less is said about the price of it now, the better. Okay. Good question. That's a good question. I would suggest so, yes. Because depending on what the questions are like, more often than not, something like the last 9 questions of the foundation paper are always the same as the first 9 questions, something like that, of the higher tier. So yes, this is definitely applicable to both higher and foundation students. Okay, so yes, thank you so much for the messages. Keep them coming if you have anything to ask me about your exams or just anything in general to do with maths. Okay, so let's get going then with the learning for today. Right, let's just switch over Okay, so yes, that is the focus for today, and that is me, and that is my name if anyone didn't know. Okay, I'm Yusuf. Today's focus is going to be on area and perimeters of sectors. Okay, so just as a starter activity, can we have a look at the following shapes? Okay, we only are going to work on calculating the areas of these. Excuse me, I'm just using the color of my pen. Starter activity, right. How many of you guys can work out the area of these shapes? When I say shapes, they are just circles, and the last two are just fraction or proportions of circles. Okay, you need to know a very important formula for area of a circle. Okay, the witty ones will already know that. If you're not sure, okay, I'll give you a hint. There is something called pi in the formula for area of a circle. So you're multiplying pi by something else squared. Okay, so that's a hint I'm going to give you. To calculate the area of a circle, you multiply pi by something squared. Work through those, okay? We won't spend too much time on those. This is just to get us going in the mood for what we're going to be doing today. This is similar to the types of stuff we'll be covering today, but obviously we're going to go a bit more depth, and we're going to sort of hone in on a specific topic to do with circles and their areas. Okay, I'm just going to have a sip of my sparkling water. Yum, yum, yum. Thumbs up in the chat if you love sparkling water. I'm a big fan of sparkling water. Okay, so question number 1. We have a circle of 4 centimeters, radius 4 centimeters, sorry, and another circle with 12 centimeters radius. And then we have 2 circles, but this time we aren't given the radius or the radii, we are given the diameter. Okay, for those of you who aren't sure, the radius is just a line that goes from the edge of a circle to the center. And the diameter of a circle is same thing, so a line that goes from one edge, but this time we're going to another edge, but we pass to the center. Okay, so have a go at those. And we shall discuss answers in a short moment. Okay, and then the last 2 are extension questions. So they're kind of what we're going to be covering today. So very similar to areas of sectors. Technically, the last 2 are sectors. But obviously, as you've probably already realized, the first one is actually a semicircle, which is just half of a full circle. And then the last one is a quarter circle. Okay, so yeah, that is that. Okay. Give you a couple of minutes. Let's see. Give you 2 more minutes, and then we will go through the answers. Okay. And because we are working with things like pi and things like squaring certain numbers, you will be requiring a calculator for today. So if you have a calculator, that is brilliant. If you don't, I feel for you. Please get one if you can. Probably should have mentioned this before, but yeah, please get one if you can. That would be really, really good. Okay, but if not, that's fine. You can still learn a lot about areas of sectors and perimeters just by picking up the actual methods. Okay, and when you have access to a calculator, you can obviously do those as well. Okay, so anyone managed to do all of them? Be very impressed if that is the case. If anyone managed to answer all of them, all of the starter questions. And if you have, put your answers in the chat, and then what we'll do is we will start to answer them very slowly. So for the first one, okay, like I said, so before we actually do that, the key formula is to calculate the area of a circle. So area is actually equal to pi times r squared. Okay, now what is r? R is, of course, what I was mentioning before, in terms of the radius of a circle. Right, so let's get going. So the first one, r squared, so 4 squared, so you should have done 4 times by 4 squared. And if you tap down to your calculator, I'm going to give it to 2 decimal places, it will actually be 50.26 centimeters squared. Okay, always. Okay, numpty, I've actually made a mistake. I rounded wrong. It should be 27 centimeters squared. Right, always be careful and be sure that you put units. Okay, I'm not saying you will definitely lose marks, but there is a possibility. I have seen some questions in which you could lose a mark if you don't put the units. Okay, so centimeters squared is very important. Next one should have been 153.94 centimeters squared, because you multiply pi by 7 squared. Okay, so if you put that correctly into your calculator, you should get the value 153.94. Okay, so what was the tricky thing about these next two questions? Again, like I mentioned, we were given the diameter. So instead of multiplying pi by 12 squared, we actually have to half it to get the radius. And what is half of 12? Well, that is 6. So if you do pi times 6 squared, you should get the following 113.10 centimeters squared to 2 decimal places. The next one, okay, bear with me, we should have got 706.8586 centimeters squared. Okay, and then these last ones. Thank you so much, George. Yes. Well done. Yes, that is the correct answer. So the last ones, I'd be interested if anyone got these. So because we're dealing with a semicircle here, we are actually finding this area of the full circle and then halving it, right? So let's imagine this was a full circle, right? What would the radius be? Well, it would be 6. So you would do pi times 6 squared, okay? And what will that give you? That would give you a particular value, something in the region of 113. So similar to what we actually got here, okay? And then you just need to half this, okay? Half this value and you get 56.55 centimeters squared. And for the last one, because we're dealing with a quarter circle, we're going to calculate the area of the full circle, which some of you probably did. So we do 15 squared times by pi. And as it is a quarter, we're going to divide this by 4, which should give you the value 176.71. Right. I might have got some of those wrong, so I hope I haven't. Okay, I just did this quickly on my calculator. So if any of you guys are feeling confident enough, I mean, I think they're all right. But if you ever feel, because I'm a bit of a donut sometimes, if you ever feel like I've made a mistake, just put in the chat, ooh, can you please explain how you got that answer? And more often than not, the reason why I got that answer, or the wrong answer, is because, like I said, I'm a bit of a donut sometimes. So just let me know. But I think these are the correct answers. Yes, thank you so much, Mikhail, and also T. Worrell for your, and also George, obviously, for your inputs. Okay, so let's actually move on to the interesting stuff for today, and that is working with sectors. Right. For those of you who do not know what a sector is, okay, this is a quick breakdown of a circle that has been split up. Okay, so if you think of it as like a cake even, we have taken a slice out of that cake, and that slice is representative of a sector. Okay, so if you take a slice out of a cake, you are left with the cake itself. Okay, so the bigger version essentially, and then you're left with your slice. So we call the cake itself that you cut the slice from the major sector, okay, or the major bit, and then anything to do with the slice or the actual thing that you've taken out is your minor sector. Okay, but to be honest, you don't need to know this. This is just some terminologies, but really you don't need to memorize this as such. But yeah, just an introduction into how sectors work. Okay, let's move on to calculating the area of a sector. Then how do we calculate the area of a sector? There is a formula there, okay, but really what I want to do is I want to work through the understanding and sort of explain to you how we get this formula. Okay, so here we have an example question of a sector, of a circle. So, of a sector from a circle, right? So we have radius 7. That's the first thing I will write from this. So radius is equal to 7 centimeters. Okay. The first step of calculating the area of any sector, you do the following. You calculate the area of, so you imagine as if you have the whole circle. So you calculate the area of the whole circle. Okay, so you pretend that this sector, so again, if we go back to the example of a cake, so you pretend that you put the slice back into the cake and you want to calculate the area of the whole cake first. And again, as we just touched upon this, and the starter activity, this is actually just pi r squared. Oops. Pi r squared, which in this case is pi times 7 squared. Then once you have the answer to this, okay, which you can give it as a decimal, or you can even leave it in terms of pi, you then multiply this by the angle. So generally speaking, we normally show angles as theta over 360. Okay, so theta just means angle. And in this scenario, in this particular example, the angle is 40. So it's going to be 40 over 360 that we multiply pi r squared in. Okay, so just to recap, to calculate the area of a sector, we calculate the area of the whole circle first. And then once you have that particular value, you multiply that by the angle of the sector over 360. Okay, so what you really kind of end up with, okay, so if we bring both the steps together, what you are really doing, you are doing pi r squared, so this was the first step, multiplied by theta over 360. Okay, and if we apply this to this example, pi times 7 squared multiplied by 40 over 360. Okay. Hi Adil, how are you doing? Nice to see you, man. Good man. I'm a bit disappointed, guys. None of you actually have display pictures. Come on, I'm rocking up to the stream and I have an NFT as my display picture. Thinking, yeah, I'm gonna be cool. I have the best display picture. Little did I know, none of you have got a display picture which I can look at and be like, wow, that's cool. Come on, guys. Next week, see if you can find something cool that will impress me. Okay. So yeah, I think I mentioned, yeah, so mine is actually an NFT. So for those of you who know what an NFT is, yeah, you're cool. Okay, so yes, so as I mentioned, you're gonna have to use a calculator. So if you plug this into your calculator, you will find the area of this sector. So we should get the value. So we do 7 squared, which is 49. You multiply that by pi. And then the answer that I get from that, I multiply by 40 over 360. Okay. And to 2 decimal places, the answer I actually get here is 17.1 centimeters squared. Right. If you got this, if you type this into your calculator and you got this answer, well then, my friend, you are a legend. Okay, handshake from me, well done. If you didn't get this, more often or most likely, you didn't put the correct thing into your calculator. So double check that. Okay, so, and this is how you calculate the area sector. Okay, nice and straightforward. And it kind of makes sense. Okay, so I'm going to explain this to you as to why this works, right? So when we compute the answer to pi r squared, so we calculate the area of the whole circle, right? So that's what pi r squared is. By multiplying it then by 40 over 360, you're kind of isolating just that slice of the whole cake, right? Because if you think about it, the whole cake is circular, right? So it's going to have an angle of 360. But our sector is just 40 out of that 360. So it's to represent it as a proportion, it's 40 over 360. Hence why we multiply the area of the whole circle by that particular expression or term. Okay, so just a bit of theory there so you can understand why we do this steps. And I always feel that once I understand something, it always seems to stick with me a lot more. So yes. Hi Erin, I've just seen your display picture. Spooky, but I like it. Nice, nice. Okay, let's move on to the following. We now have a series of separate questions, okay? What I'm going to do is I'm going to work through question A. I'm going to work through it at a slightly slower pace, okay? So you can understand how we apply it to this type of question, okay? If you let me know if you can see all the questions. And then after that, I want you guys to have a go at B, C, and D. You probably already started, so that's brilliant. In about 30 seconds time, I'm going to start question A. Okay, and then I'll show you how to do that. Okay, but for those of you who just saw the example and were able to understand everything, please go ahead and start already. And then we'll discuss answers in... how long shall we discuss answers? I don't know. Give it a few minutes. And when you're done, just let me know. Put your answers in the chat if you're feeling confident. If not, wait for me to give you the answers, and that's fine. Okay. So, couple of minutes. Yeah. How's everyone's days been actually? How's everyone's half term? What did you guys get up to? Tell me something interesting that you did. Did you take some time out? Maybe go somewhere to the beach maybe? Just relaxed? I know it was very sunny where I was. So yeah, tell me what you guys got up to and I know it can be a bit depressing going back to school after a nice break in the sun, especially when you've got exams to go back to. So I completely respect that, guys. So try and relax a bit as well. Is my suggestion, my advice. Relax a bit. Take some time just to reinvigorate yourself and recuperate some of that energy. Adil. Ooh, Spanish GCSE. Ooh, how was that? Was it your speaking, writing, and listening? Right? Was it one of those, or was it all of them? I don't know how the GCSEs are run. Ooh, Arabic GCSE. Nice, Erin. Lovely. My name is actually Arabic, Yusuf. So I hope that went really well for you guys. I would love to speak Arabic. I mean, Spanish I do know a little bit of. I mean, I stopped studying Spanish after year 9, I think. Yeah, I didn't have to do it. I think nowadays it's compulsory to do a language, right, as part of your GCSE. Reading and listening. Oh, I see. I hope it went well, man. I know it can be quite a pain. That's why I gave it up. Spanish. So yeah. Donde? I'm not gonna even try. ¿Qué tal? ¿Dónde estás? Me llamo Yusuf. Love that. Yeah, Adil. Nice. Yeah. Arabic name crew. Love it. Okay, guys. Right. What I'm going to do is I'm going to quickly show you the method of how to answer this first question. So the radius is 3. So the area. So the first step was we calculate the area of the whole circle, which we do by multiplying pi by the radius squared, which is 3 squared. Okay. Now you can either leave this in terms of pi, so the answer would be 9 pi, right? But if you wrote it as a decimal, that's fine as well. Okay, you should have got 28 point, let's say 2 decimal places, 27. Then you take this, so the second step was you take this answer and then you multiply it by the angle, which is 15 over 360. 15 over 360, have I got this right? We get 1.18 centimeters squared. Okay, that is for that one. Sahili says, give me advice for maths exam. Okay, right, Sahili. Okay, sorry guys, I'm going a bit off topic just because a year 11 student has asked for some advice. So Sahili, take note of this. I'm going to actually show you something. Well, I'm not going to show you something, I'm going to tell you something. Okay. Come on. So what I'm going to show you is, or tell you, are the topics that are predicted and most likely to come up on tomorrow's paper. So use these. I mean, if any of these stick out to you immediately, in terms of one day, like, oh my god, I don't know anything about that topic, use that. Okay, use that as your revision. Okay, these are standard form, sequences, circles and sectors. See that? Helping everyone today. Speed, distance, time, Pythagoras, SOHCAHTOA, transformations, probability, algebraic fractions, ratios, error, intervals and bounds, compound interest, using trigonometry to calculate the area of a triangle. So that actually corresponds to using half AB sine C. Histograms and types of graphs. Now these, I believe, I think I gave you 20 or 18 topics there. These are the topics most likely to come up on tomorrow's paper, right? So, I mean, again, it's not a certainty, but this is something that you guys can use. Okay, right. Let's go through some of the answers then. So for question number 2, let's see what I get. Okay, I'm just going to type it quickly. Okay, we should have got 13 point. So where should I put it? I'm just going to put it here for B. 13.96 centimeters squared. Okay, if you got it, you're a legend. Yes, thank you, Mikhail. Yes, thank you for letting me know that I've done it correct. And sometimes I will get it wrong, right? Because I'm a bit of a... I've got fat fingers. Sometimes I can, press the wrong things on the calculator. So forgive me for that. Okay, so for the second one, 100. So you should have got, the angle is 45. 39.27. If you disagree, please make yourself known. Okay, because I should double check these. So, and the last one, this was a tricky one. So for the last one, we should have recognized that we're actually given the diameter and not the radius. So the radius actually this time is 5. So you have to do 5 squared times by pi, and then multiply that by 120 over 360, and you should get the answer 26.18. Okay, I'm just going to have a look at the chat just to see if everyone got that. Okay, Yusuf, I think I got a different answer to you, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to quickly double check. Yes, Adil, thank you. Yes, that is a good point. First class maths. That guy is a very reliable source, and I use him because of the fact that some of his predictions last year were quite impressive. So yes, definitely, you go on his website. There is a predicted paper there, so have a go at that as well. Okay, hope that is all well and fine. What time are we on? Okay. There are some other questions that I want to have a go at to do with areas, but just because of time, we are going to skip that. Okay, so that was calculating the area of a sector. Okay, yeah, Yusuf, thank you. Yeah, I did double check that, so I think the one I got was the correct one. So just double check that one. Okay, calculating the arc length. I'm so sorry, guys. I know I keep looking here. It's just because the chat is here. I really should be looking there. So Yusuf, sorry. Okay, calculating the arc length. So, what is the arc length referring to? So, when we are talking about a sector, we are talking about this whole thing here. Okay, the whole thing is a sector. But if you consider just the rounded curved bit at the edge, this thing here, this is what we call the arc. Okay. Therefore, if we want to find the arc length, we basically want to measure the distance from this to this. So from that point to that point. And the way we actually do this is very similar to how we calculate the area. Okay. Just a few intricate details that are different. Okay. So this first step is actually similar, almost identical. So the first step is calculate circumference of the whole circle. So we're dealing with the whole circle again. And this time, not the area, we want to calculate the circumference of the whole circle. Right? And to calculate the circumference of the whole circle, of any circle, again, you take pi, but this time you are multiplying it by diameter. Okay? The diameter of that circle. So pi times diameter is, what's the diameter? So the radius here is 7, so the diameter would be 14. So this is actually 14 pi. Yes. This is for 45 minutes, guys. I mean, we can go a bit over, depending on questions you guys have. So the stream is going to end at just before 5 o'clock. So the teaching we do for about 45 minutes, and then, you know, save the remaining time just to have a little chat about anything to do with maths or, yeah. So, so you calculate the area of the, the circumference of the whole circle, and then again, this step is pretty much identical. You multiply this by theta over 360. So I think someone already mentioned this in the chat, so thank you if this is what you were talking about, Mikhail. Yes, so the same thing again, pretty much identical, right? But remember, the guys, this thing is different here, where we are calculating the circumference of the whole circle to begin with, which is pi times diameter, not pi r squared. Okay, and again, theta over 360, well, this is just 40 over 360. So if we bring all the steps together, let me just change color again, to calculate the arc length of any circle, or sorry, sector, we take pi, multiply it by diameter, and multiply that by theta over 360. Okay? And to apply it to this question, well, that would just be 14 pi multiplied by 40 over 360. Okay? Type that into your calculator. Let me know what you get. And we shall verify. I'll verify if that is the correct answer. So 14 pi multiplied by 40 over 360. I get the answer 4.89 centimeters. And again, because it's a length, you don't need to put centimeter squared. Centimeter squared is only for area. So because this is just a length, we just need to put centimeters. I do apologize. I know my big head is just blocking the writing. I've just realized that, so I'm going to try and zoom out. Yes, 4.89 is the correct answer. Thank you for that. Thank you so much for that. Okay, let's move on. And again, same thing again. So I think they're the same questions. Yeah, they're the same questions, but this time we are calculating the arc length. Okay. Thanks, Yusuf. Thanks, Mikhail. You guys are correct. So thank you for letting me know of your answers. Yusuf, I'm just trying to see what your display picture is. Can't really see it. What is it? Is it some sort of transformer? I can't really tell. It looks like something with, is that fire? I don't know. Looks cool though. So yes, guys, as always, as we did in the previous example, I'm going to run you through the first one, and then I'll just give you the answers for the remaining three. But of course, if you just want to proceed and go ahead and attempt them yourself, that's absolutely fine. Please do so. And then, yeah, we'll discuss answers in a short while. Okay. Yeah, we'll give you a couple minutes again. I mean, we've got about 15 minutes left in the lesson. There is one, please don't go anywhere, guys. There is one very important thing left to do with this topic. And it's actually probably the easiest thing, relatively speaking, but it is very important because it could be the difference of 1, 2, maybe 3 marks in an exam. Okay, so please stick around. There is one final bit left. Okay, these are the more technical bits. So find the arc length, find the area of the sector are more technical. The last bit, which I'll tell you what it is in a short while, is very important as well. Okay. Okay, so for the first one, yes, thank you, George. That is the correct answer. Well done. Okay, so let's go through this one. So the first one. The first step, as always, we calculate the circumference of the full circle by doing pi times diameter. What will be the diameter of this? Well, that is just 6 because the radius is 3 and the diameter is always double the radius. So remember that. 6 pi should give you the value 18.85. And then you're going to take this 18.85 multiplied by 15 over 360 because that is the angle. That is the second step, remember. This should give you typing 0.79. Okay, I think someone already put that in the chat, which is brilliant. Well done. Well done, Akil. Really, really good. Yes. If you would like to treat yourself to a lollipop, please, by all means, do. Lollipop. Okay, yes. I'm guessing you're celebrating. You got the answer right. Okay. Couple minutes, guys. and then we'll discuss the answers. When I say a couple of minutes, I'm going to say just over 90 seconds will do. Okay. Yeah. How's the weather where you guys are at today? I mean, it was sunny last week when it was half term. This week round is a bit, I wouldn't say it's gloomy because it's nice and bright, and any brightness is always lovely to have. But I would say it's a lot more cloudy. I would say it's a bit more cloudy than usual. I live in a town just outside of London, so if you are nearby, you're probably able to relate. Right, hope everyone is having a go at the remaining questions. Quickly. I'm just going to run you through some of the answers. Okay, so for B, we should have got the following. 6.98 I got centimeters. Okay, that's for B. If you got that answer, really, really well done. If you didn't, and you're unsure as to why that is the case, please let me know and I'll explain it to you. For C, what do we get for C? We get 7.85. Hope everyone got that. If you didn't, just double check your calculations. Please make sure you're using the diameter, which is twice the radius. Okay, so these questions are kind of trick questions because they have given you the radius as opposed to the diameter. Okay, and for the last one, this question, you are actually given the diameter and you just need to multiply that by pi and then the angle over 360, and I get 10.47 centimeters. Lovely. Did anyone get that for D? If you didn't, it is possible I might have made a mistake. Okay, just double check that. But this is what you should have got. Okay. Perfect. Thank you, Yusuf. You're a legend. And thank you, Mikhail. And thank you, George. George said, how many marks are these questions? Typically, these will be 2, maybe 3 marks. Okay, how they can get more complicated is a really good question, actually. How these questions can get more complicated, guys, is you might be given, so a question might say, here is a sector, and you might not be given the radius or the angle. You might only be given one of these. Okay, and then you might be given the area as well. So what you might have to do is work backwards from the area using the equations, so using the formulas. So the formulas being pi r squared multiplied by the angle over 360 for area, work backwards to find either the radius or the angle. Okay, so that is a very good question, and that is how the marks can be a bit beefed up, basically, how they can award more marks to questions. Okay. Right, what we're going to do is we're going to quickly move on to finding the arc length. Right. Yes, last thing, quickly, we've got about 9 minutes. Calculating the perimeter of a sector. Right. You might think what we just did, isn't that the perimeter of a sector? You're kind of correct, but what we just did was we calculated the length of just this region here, which is just the arc length. But when it comes to the perimeter of a sector, remember the sector is the whole slice. So you are essentially taking the arc length and you are adding these two lengths to it. Okay, so that is how it's different, and it's very important that you're able to distinguish between these two. The perimeter of a sector is the arc length. I apologize for this hideous handwriting. I'm trying to rush, so it is the arc length added to these two lengths. Now, if you're quick and smart enough, you would have realized that these two lengths are both radii, so it's just arc length plus 2r. So when it comes to calculating the area of a perimeter of a sector, sorry, so again, this is one of those questions that are worth a mark or two more. Not only are you expected to calculate the arc length, but also add on the lengths of the two radii. Okay, and this might be worth an extra mark or two. Okay. So yeah, essentially, if you can calculate the the arc length, the length of the arc, then a perimeter of a sector should be no issue, because then you just have to add 2 lots of the radius onto it, and then that'll give you your answer. Okay. So if we go back to what did we get? So yeah, for the arc length we got 4.89. So I'm just going to be lazy and I'm just going to use that because, you know, lazy times. 4.89 was the arc length, and then 2 times the radius, 7 and 7, so that is just 14. So that will give you the perimeter of this sector, which is 18.89 centimeters. Boom, 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 boom. Bish, bash, bosh. And that is your perimeter of a sector. Any questions, guys? Anything that you're uncertain of? So this is one of those topics where terminology and knowledge of terminology is very important, because obviously if you're asked to calculate the perimeter of a sector and you actually just end up calculating the arc length, then you are prone to losing a couple of marks, possibly. So just be aware of these 3 things. I mean, the perimeter of a sector and the arc length go hand in hand because, you know, it's sort of the same thing. Just have to add a little bit on for the perimeter, so just be wary of that. Okay, then to finish off then, here are some questions for which I would like you to calculate the perimeter for. Okay. Yes, we are nearing the end, guys, so thank you so much for tuning in. Inga obviously is our moderator, who's always a delight. Please leave your feedback. If I was talking too much or I was a bit annoying and you just wanted to work together, just work independently, you know, please be honest. Okay, I do sometimes have that feedback. We just go on and on and on and on and on. So sorry if that was the case. But I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you learnt something as well, right? Because that's the main thing. If you manage to take away something from this 45 minutes or however long you're in this lesson for, that you didn't know at the beginning, well, then my job is done, and I feel very, very proud of that. So that is the main thing, guys. The fact that you guys are all here is the first step to attaining anything that you want in, not just, you know, GCSEs, but in life, right? You have to be motivated, and the fact that you guys motivated yourself to come to this lesson space, to come to this stream and be willing to learn when others may have just, you know, done something else or done something less productive, you know, that shows that you're motivated to learn, and that is the first step required of any student to succeed in any stage of their education. Okay, so a bit of a deep note for you guys there to end on. Right, so let's quickly go through the answers here. So the arc length, obviously, you'd have to calculate first. So for A, the arc length you would do by calculating pi times diameter. So that would be 16 pi multiplied by 14 over 360. This gives you, what does this give you? 16 pi times by 14 over 360. Remember, guys, we're calculating the arc length first, and then we're going to add 2 lots of the ratio. The radius. 1.95 centimeters is what I get for this arc length here. Okay, so then that means if I want to calculate the perimeter of the sector, we do 1.95 plus 2 lots of the radius, which is 8 times 2, so that is 16. Okay, you get the value 17.95 centimeters. So this is the perimeter of the first sector. Thank you so much, Yusuf. You've been an absolute delight with your answers today. Mikhail, thank you so much, man. Honestly, means a lot, man. Brilliant. So can we continue on GCSE exams? Other question? Yes. Okay. If you guys want to stick around, what I can do is I can show you an exam-style question on sectors. Okay, which is slightly steps up in terms of difficulty. So we will do that. So bear with me whilst I just get that for you. Other than that, guys, if you want to If you want to continue doing the remaining exercise questions, then that's brilliant as well. Thank you for sticking around. If you have to go now, you've been an absolute pleasure. Thank you so much for contributing to the lesson. It's always nice when you guys are active in the chat, so thank you for that. Right, let me just get these questions. Okay, we are doing some work on sectors. Okay, so whilst I get this exam question, guys, we might as well just finish. We might as well just finish on an exam question. So I'll get that for you. In the meantime, just have a go at the remaining exercise questions. Okay, hopefully you guys are feeling confident because they aren't exactly easy. So we only have time for one. So what the hell? Let's go. Let's jump in the deep end, and let's do a 5-mark question. Why not? Okay. Right. Right. Quickly before that, though, let me just quickly give you the answers for these. Okay. So for B, what did we get? Okay, let me quickly work that out for you. Okay, sorry, a bit behind. 150 over 360. Yes. So you should have got 87. Did someone get 87.74? I hope you did. Please, hope you did. If not, we will just double check it in a second. For the second one, we calculate the arc length by doing 50.4. That's the diameter, remember? Times that by pi. Multiply that by 73 over 360. And then you add 2 lots of the radius. Which I get 82.54. Right, well, you guys are saying 10.74. Did I make a mistake somewhere? 10.74? What is 10.74? Sorry. I'm a bit of a donut. Where did 16 come from? 16, oh, good question. So 16 comes from, so remember how we said that the perimeter of a sector is the arc length, which is this length here, and then you want to add this length here, which is 8, and this length here, which is another 8. So really what I should have mentioned, this should have been, so I'm just going to edit this, so plus 2 lots, 2 times 8. I'm going to put that in there, right, just to signify what we're doing. Okay, is that the last one for D? Okay, I'm just going to calculate the answer for D. So let's verify if you guys are correct. I'll be very impressed if you did get this correct. Let's see. Okay, and for D, I get 366.09. Okay. That's okay. Thank you so much, guys. I'm a bit confused. Okay, but thank you for clearing up. Yeah, if I did make any mistakes, okay, I do apologize. If there's one that you're uncertain of, let me know, and we'll go through. I'm just going to calculate the answer for D again, okay, just to make sure it's correct. So you do pi times diameter, then multiply that by the angle over 360. Okay, and then that gives you the arc length, and then you add 60 and 60, so add 120, so yeah, 366. Okay, perfect. Thank you so much, guys. Really, really well done. Okay, to finish off then, as promised, I want to show you an exam style question. Obviously, I don't expect you guys to be able to answer this, but just to give you a flavor of what it's like. Okay, so here we have the following. AOB is a sector of a circle, and obviously they won't all be this difficult. I just chose to be very nasty to you guys, so sorry. AOB is a sector of a circle, center O and radius 6. The length of arc AB is 5 pi centimeters squared. Okay, find the area of the circle. Right, this is what we have. I'm just going to show you how to do it because this is a really, really high level question. So basically what the challenging thing here is that we don't have this angle. So what we need to do is we use the fact that we are given the length of the arc. So the length of arc AB is 5 pi centimeters squared. Okay, how do we calculate? Yes, 5 marks. Mind blowing. It is, and you'll see why. This is quite a challenging question. So I do apologize. Right, talk about, you know, jumping in the deep end. Right. So the length of arc AB is 5 pi centimeters squared. Sorry. What is the formula for calculating the arc length? If you remember, so for arc length, we do the following. We do pi times diameter, and then we multiply that by theta, or the angle, over 360. This time we are told the arc length, so what we can do is we can write this equation and we can equate it to 5 pi. So pi times diameter, well, the radius is 6, so then the diameter would be 12. So this is 12 pi multiplied by theta over 360 is equal to 5 pi. Okay, I hope you're able to understand why this appears, okay, why we get this. At this moment of time, we just have to, so this is a separate topic now, so we're dealing with solving equations. If you can algebraically solve this equation, okay, then you'll be you're golden. Okay, if you don't get this next step, then it's probably because you need some revision of solving equations algebraically. Right, I want to get this theta on its own, essentially. So what am I going to do? I'm going to get rid of this 12 pi. At the moment, this 12 pi is being multiplied here. So to get rid of it, I need to do the opposite. So I'm going to divide by 12 pi. If I divide by 12 pi, that vanishes from the left-hand side. So I'm left with theta over 360. And then I need to do the same thing on the right-hand side. So it's 5 pi over 12 pi. Okay. Yusuf, good point. Yes, it would have been 15 pi if we added it, but we are not adding it. We are actually dividing. So when we divide, once we have this situation here, you'll realize that we have pi on both the numerator and denominator, so they can cancel out. So then we are left with theta over 360 is equal to 5 over 12. And again, this is touching on knowledge to do with solving equations. To get theta on its own now, we just multiply 5 over 12 by 360. Again, because this will come up on a calculator paper, you can do that on your calculator. And you get the value 150. Okay, you get 150 for your value of pi, for your value of the angle. This is 150 degrees. Now, that to be honest, is the most challenging part of this question. If you're able to understand this, then, you know, you've pretty much smashed it. Because all you need to do now is find the area of a sector. And how do we find the area of a sector? Well, we learned that at the beginning of this lesson, we do pi r squared multiplied by theta over 360. What is r? So our radius is 6. So this is going to be pi times 6 squared. And we're going to multiply this. And now we know the value of theta. We know the angle. It's going to be 150 over 360. Okay, and then the answer you get from that is your answer to the question. Okay, so if you want to type that into your calculators, see if you get it right. Brilliant. So you can either leave it in terms of pi, as it says in the question, or if you want to give it to, you know, as a decimal, that's brilliant as well. Okay, I do apologize that we rushed through this. Ideally, we would have taken a bit more time on this because it's a 5 marker. But I hope you understood the general steps. Thank you so much, Mikhail. Yes, 47.12 is the same answer that I get. 47.12 would get you all 5 marks. Right, so you can see, like I said, not all exam questions are going to be like this. So please, 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 don't panic. What I did here was just give you an idea of how it can get more complicated. As long as you understand this, guys, that's the most important thing, right? If you could do this again, if I rubbed everything out again and you would know what to do, then that's the main thing. Okay, that's the main thing here. Right, unfortunately, that is all we have time for today. It's been an absolute pleasure, guys. It's always nice to get on, to get... Ooh, Siri, Shut your mouth. Apologies. All right. Yeah, it's always nice to get on a stream and chat with you guys. It's been a pleasure as always. In terms of what we're going to do next week, I am open to suggestions. So what I tend to do is I just tend to go with topics that students on average find the most challenging. So I am thinking maybe to do some work on SERDs. SERDs is a possibility. But if you guys have any other suggestions, please let me know. And I'll be sure to plan around those. Okay. Remember, we have the remaining 8 weeks or so now. So don't worry, we have a lot of time. So if you have any queries with certain things, let me know. If there's any topics, we can go through them. Okay. Yes, Adil, thank you so much. You guys, best of luck if you have an exam tomorrow. Guys, please keep calm. That's my best advice. Just keep calm in the exam. Try not to get overwhelmed. Maths, in my opinion, well, it's not even my opinion. This is fact. Maths is by far the hardest exams in terms of GCSE, and that is fact. So, if you manage to just compose yourself, keep that in the back of your mind. You don't have to get all the questions right. You don't even, you can even, I think one year you even had to get like 50% and you got something like a 6 or a 7, okay? Something like that. So, bear that in mind, okay? Best of luck, guys. You are an absolute pleasure. Thank you so much for all of your hard work, and I shall see you now, same time next week, okay? Maybe I should have an outro song. I might think of that next time, okay? Thank you, guys. Take care. I've been Yusuf. You've been a pleasure. Bye-bye.